So I wanted to do just a little video on HTML, just the basics of HTML. I'm looking at HTML5 because it's a lot simpler to work with. And it's really important to get a good handle on the basics because when you get to the part where we're coding things on the back end, you need to be able to generate on the fly good HTML that will go out to the web clients. And if you don't understand the basics and how HTML all fits together, then that becomes a bit of a problem or a bit more of a challenge because it's now abstracted from you. So I wanted to create just a little video that would cover that off. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually build a basic document, a very basic document with just some features in it so that you can see what are the parts that need to be there in an HTML document, a good HTML document. Now, there can be all kinds of things that we can do with HTML. In fact, we can make it very pretty. We create all kinds of links within it. That hypertext means that it has links that allow us to access services, go to other web pages. Markup means that we are taking a document and we're adding in markup features, these tags that will allow the browser to render it properly, and also gives us the flexibility to format it in the way that we want. And we'll see a lot more of that as we go along. But HTML is the place where we need to start. So all HTML documents have one really important thing, and that is they have to have kind of a wrapper around them to say this is an HTML document. So you do that with two things. First, you're going to tell it what kind of document you're using. And for HTML5, that's been made really simple. You just say doc type, it's an HTML document. And then you're going to say, this is my HTML document. And always a tag will need to be closed. So the first one is a descriptor. And so descriptors and comments and things like that are special cases, but inside the HTML itself, which is this part right here, inside there, that is the document. And so we're going to put that inside there. So the first thing we need is this kind of big wrapper around it. And then inside that document, and I'll use indents to make it look nice, inside we need to have two parts. So this is, the first part is the wrapper. The second part is the head. And so I'm going to quickly close that off so that I know that something goes in between the opening tag and the closing tag, and that something is all the information that is about the document. So in here we have the most common thing is title. My web page, and I have to close that tag. So if I put my web page, that will actually generate, that's the only thing that will really render easily, and that will actually put it up in the tab in Chrome or in the title if we have other web browsers. But this isn't on the page itself. This is at the head of the page. So you think about the head is on top of the body, and we're all within this HTML framework. So you can't put the head outside of the HTML. You can't put the head inside the next part. You put the head on its own, and then and the head sits on top of a body, just like kind of like a person. So I like to go here and I like to close it at the end so that I know that all this space in here is going to be the body. And the body is what gets shown on the page itself. So the head is information about the page. The body is the information that gets displayed and all the formatting for that. So we'll see just a few tags in here. So just to go back up to the head, I'm going to do a couple things here. So one of the things that I can do is for these tags, I can actually give them some attributes. And so one that I give to the whole document that makes the Validator happy is I tell it what language this page is in. And so there's 2 letter codes. EN for English is the one that we want there. And the other thing that I may do here, I don't need to do this, but I can also go in and add some metadata. So the one I like to add to my documents is the metadata author. So what I do is I put name equals author, and then content equals, and then I'll say Frank Emanuel. And that's enough there, but because tags need to be closed, it is actually good practice, because you're going to need this when you do XML later on. It's good practice to put in a space and then a slash to close off the tag. So it's a tag that just has information. And one thing to notice about this is the name is like the name of a variable. So it's how we get to that content. It's a standard representation. So on any page, if it has an author field or metadata, then I can go looking for it with my scripting code and say, oh, I want to do something with that. Or I want to go search for all the ones that the content of the author field is Frank Emanuel. Find all my pages. So this becomes useful data for me later on. And the other one that I might do in here is looks a little different, but in HTML5 I can do this. I can say charset equals UTF-8. And again, I'll close that off, and that would allow me to say that I'm going to use 8-bit Unicode encoding. But I'm going to leave that off. But there's a number of things that I can put in here in terms of meta tags. Okay, but these won't be displayed there, but I can work with them. So I like to kind of give a little space in around that, and in fact, I like to put comments in here. And so comments in HTML looks like this. So inside this, oh, and you know what I've done here, which is interesting, is if I save this as, this is a new template.html, then it will color code for us. So I was doing that without the color coding, but anyway, it's nicer with the color coding probably. Yeah, except for the red won't show up for people who are colorblind. Anyway, you might want to play around with the color coding. So in here, I'll just say the head contains the title of the page as well as some metadata about the page. And you can, if I have more than one line, what I like to do is I like to have it so it's all indented the same. And one thing about HTML is it ignores every space after the first one. So I can use lots of space, but as long as I have that opening and that closing tag, everything in there is treated as comments. And so in mine, it's turned green. So in the body, I'm also going to have a comment. So just so I don't forget to put the end, I will do that, and I will say the body of the page contains all of the information to be displayed and all of the tags needed. I'm going to go like this to make it nice. Needed to format the information. So I just like to have comments in my code to remind me what a section of code does. It's a very good practice. If you ever work on a large development project and you're going to regret working with anybody who doesn't comment their code, because it is a pain to not be able to go through and go, oh, that's the section I'm looking for, and then work with it when you're trying to trace out bugs. just can be a nightmare. Okay, so within here, I have a whole bunch of different things. One of the ones that you will be looking at is I can have a header. So I have different header levels. And you can use lowercase or uppercase, and actually you can even mix case here, but I would recommend that you adopt a standard and use, I like to use lowercase for any of the, so for the tag itself, I like to use uppercase, and then for any kind of properties that I'm adding to that tag, I like to use lowercase. That way I can quickly look through my code and say, oh, that's a property. Oh, that's the tag. Oh, I didn't close that tag. Oh, that property needs, I need to have the double quotes around everything. So I can quickly see what might be wrong within my code. Clean coding is so much easier to work with. And it might seem like it's more work, but it is actually well worth it. So this is my web page. And then you need to close the tag. And one of the things you can do once you've chosen in Notepad++ and other editors, if you click on a tag, it will highlight both the tag and the first closing tag that's associated with it. So you don't want to have extra closing tags. You want to have a closing tag that goes with each one. Okay? So that's that. And then I can have some information here. My web page is a very nice web page. Page. You might like to see my web page, but it is not on the internet. So that is a bit of a problem. Now I'm doing this, because I want you to see something, that even though I've spaced this out nicely, HTML is a markup language and only recognizes the first space. So this new template.html, I'm going to go here and I'm going to go new template.html. Actually, it's not. I'm going to have to go to new template. No, I've got a space in the name. Why did I put a space in the name? So I'm just going to use the code for a space. No. Let's go and find out where I put it. Just give me a second here. Okay. There we go. So, we've got a problem here. So it says at the top, my web page. If I look at the source, you can see that I have all of the source in here, but I've not put anything in the body. That I have, but what I did was I didn't save it. So I will save it and go back and reload my web page. Okay, so notice all of that text that I wrote, even though I put it up, I spread it out, it's all put together nicely. So the thing about it is, that's nice about it, is that I can spread on everything and make it very readable for me as a coder, but when it renders it, I have to remember that it's going to ignore every space after the first one. If I really want to, I have to put some kind of tag in there to move it down to the next line. And so if I do that, you'll see when I regenerate it, sorry goes down to the next line because I put a break tag in. And I use the break tag because it's one of those exceptions to the rule. The break tag does not need to be, we don't need to close it. We just can insert it. And we can actually get away with that in a few tags, but it's better to actually go in and put paragraph tags around things. And this will be very helpful for us later, because by putting paragraph tags around things so that they become their own paragraphs, we can, within our CSS later on, we can actually dictate how those paragraphs look. And that becomes just so much better. So I'm going to do this. And then I'm going to go like this. And remember, you always have to close your tags. Now, I also want to do some things like, I'm going to bold this. So strong is a tag that allows me to bold a word, and it needs to be closed. Oh, whoops. If I put strong on a header, not the one I meant to do, the header's already bolded, so it's not going to do anything. So I'm going to take the strong off, and I'm going to move it down. Actually, here, very nice web page. And I'm going to go over here, and I'm going to put M, which is emphasis, to another tag, which simply puts it in italics. So let's just save that and take a look at what we have done. You see the paragraph tags move things down. You'll notice the internet is now in italics and web page is bolded. And I can do all kinds of things within basic HTML. If I want to make problem a tag, something, a hyperlink that gets me somewhere, I can say A, which is the anchor tag. So I'm just gonna go like this, and I'm gonna go A. Now, when I render this, because I just want you to see that it's the A is the tag. Oh, that would have been bad. Okay, the A is the tag part, and it means anchor. So when I go here and I redo it, problem is now an anchor, but it doesn't do anything. So I need to tell it what to do as an anchor. And so the most common thing that you'll be doing is going and turning it into a hyperlink. So we're going to do that by giving it a reference, so an attribute, and this reference is going to be a website. So HTTP :/ we want to go www. algonquincollege.com. So let's do that. And hopefully I did my slashes the right way. But now you'll see there's an underline, and when we click on it, it actually goes to Algonquin College's web page, which is not really a problem, but it's a problem on there. So just a few things just to get you to see. In an HTML document, you have a wrapper that tells you what kind of a document it is. So, and it will have an HTML and a closing tag at the bottom that wraps around the entire HTML document. And then you'll have within it a head, and the head sits on top of a body. Don't put your body inside your head or your head inside your body. You can't breathe. It just doesn't work. You want to make sure that those things are in the proper order. But those are both within the HTML, so those are the three things you need. And the head is not displayed, although there is a title that we can put at the top of our you can see it right here. It says My Web Page. That came from the head, the title. And then we have all the content and all the formatting for it. So there's lots of little things that you can learn, tons of tags that you can learn, but that is the basic structure that you need to understand. Okay?